on this computer. You'll get a notification, and please bear with my cold symptoms. I feel pretty good, but just this cough may get the better of me, so we'll see. Welcome to Advanced Group Management, which is really just group management, because I think this feature is relatively or can be kind of complex. So hopefully we'll talk about some of those things. And I'm Chris Daniel. I'm Faculty Professional Development Administrator or Manager for eCampus. I'm just so pleased to be in this role. Been in this role a couple months and change, and it's just been a fantastic experience. It's been great getting to know some of you all. Let's get started. So what are we going to talk about today? Why do we have groups? And I think you probably have more to say about this than I do. It's brief, but we could get into pedagogical and research-based reasons. If you're interested, I can provide articles on those things. I want to show you the different things you can do inside just a regular group, just a plain group that a lot of people don't know about or they don't try to learn about just because of time. There are actually different types of processes within group creation. One of them is, I think, very interesting and very underutilized is self-selection. So students can join a group within your course. They can just click a button and they can join. So we'll talk about that. I'll talk about how to use Excel to manage large numbers of groups and large numbers of students in a particular section. We'll look at some other features such as the all users feature, Smart Views, which is a filter on Grade Center. Some of you have used that. Some of you have probably not set it up though. So I'll show that. And then how you manage a group set or a collection of groups. If you have any questions or concerns, chime in. It's great. I'm going to try to cover these features pretty quickly because I know your all's time's limited. I want to be respectful. We also have a sandbox. Unless you signed up just a few minutes ago for this session, I've added you to a Blackboard group sandbox. So you should be able to see that course in your list of courses. Just search for group, the word group in your in Blackboard Ultra course view, I think they call it, where you see all the little cards. You can do a search for group, and then you should be able to see it. You're an instructor in that group. You can do anything you want to in that group. You can't hurt anything. And thanks to Gene Kleppinger in IT, there are 100 fake users. And if you want to really get a sense for his personality, read the names. Read the names he created. It's an interesting trip into his mind. But they are there, and that's good for our FERPA purposes. And also, there's nothing quite like messing up a group in your own live course to make you have a pleasant day. So that sandbox is available to you. If you know anybody that wants to be added to it, great. I can even make a copy of that sandbox for you so you can do your own things in it if you want. Do not feel compelled to mess about in that today, right now, unless you want to. It's there for your use. You don't ever have to touch it. Sometimes it's better as faculty, I think, to just know what's possible and then ask an instructional designer, circle back around with me. Glad to help you in any way I can, but it's there if you want it. I will have a link to all Blackboard documentation. People that know me know that I am no Blackboard apologist. I've been using this tool for over 2 decades now, I think. And the one thing I'll say is that, it's the tool we have. There's good things about it. There are bad things about it. Documentation has never been better. So I love documentation. Now it used to be terrible, horrible. Now it's pretty good. And so I'll provide a link to that. I'm going to send all this to you because I know who you are because you registered for this session. I've got your email address. I'll send a final message and provide you all the resources, including this presentation. So without further ado, why groups? I'd love to have somebody chime in and tell me how they use groups or why they think it's important or maybe why they don't use groups even.
I definitely use it for discussion because it gets, the research shows 6 to 8 is kind of your best group size. And when you have 52 students, it loses something. And I feel like I can't keep up with it either. It's easier for me to follow that group's discussion if it's smaller.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm Treva Macy with eCampus Advising, and we use it to advise our COE students. We have about 50 different majors within College of Education. So we drop groups in and divide them up. So each group only sees the information that pertains to them, so they don't have to muddle through a bunch of stuff that doesn't mean anything to them. And since we've done that, we've noticed a huge drop in the drop rate of classes for our students. So they found a way to find what they need easier, faster, and more efficiently than the way we were doing it before. So it's been a big plus for us.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to three things, really, and maybe more. But for me, it's organization. How do you need to maintain lists of students? How do you want to sort of stratify your course and the activities and experiences in the course? Does it make sense to creating groups? It's certainly a clear engagement tool. And of course, anybody that's worked with facilitators in eCampus courses knows that, that's a vital part of how we make sure we maintain those connections between student and instructor and student and content. That community of inquiry model plays into that. And then we can also change how we deliver certain aspects of the course based on group membership. That is almost a never used feature that I'd like to show you all just a little bit about today. So those are some reasons why, and I'm sure you all have other good reasons. So first of all, let me show you, if we just make a plain group that's a standalone single iteration group, not part of a set, the various tools. And I'm not going to show every tool, but I want to show you in Blackboard where you elect to enable those and sort of what their purpose is. So I'm going to break into the Blackboard course, and Maureen, I'll get you added as soon as I can here whenever we have a break in the action. But I'm going into the Blackboard. Can you all see my Blackboard course now? Aaron, can you nod if you see it? Okay, wonderful. I'm just going to go into groups, and I have just this little standalone group. And I get these options when I create a group. I get these options if I go and hit the context menu, that down arrow, or some people call that a chevron icon, and I go to edit the group. These are the various group tools that are associated with groups. Some of these I don't necessarily even recommend you use, but they're available. If you want to have a blog that's only accessible, usable by a group, you can have that there. Same thing with group discussions. And anybody that teaches EKU eCampus courses knows most of our discussion boards actually they transpire inside of groups. We will rename groups something else like discussion boards or group discussion board and have it refer students to a list of groups, and they will only see the groups to which they pertain. But we have most of our group discussion boards inside of group discussions and not as part of the main discussion area in Blackboard. That's a finer point, but something I just wanted to mention. You have the ability to use the email tool to send a mass email to the group. Students can also take advantage of that functionality. So if you have close group work, or you want them to work sort of closely as a cohort within the course, they can email each other. You can also set up a discussion board for them to talk amongst themselves. Pardon me. And we have the ability to use journals as well. Journals can be just pertaining to groups and not accessible by other individuals or other groups. Also, we can establish Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. That is our video conferencing tool that is part of Blackboard. Almost everyone seems to prefer Zoom, and I understand that, and we're using Zoom today, and I have administrative and sort of data collection reasons why I like that, but don't discount Collaborate Ultra. You can set up Collaborate Ultra instances and just say, students, this video conferencing platform is available to you. It's pretty good. If everybody has a decent internet connection, you will get all the functionality, and we have control of it. The main selling point, I think, is we purchase it, and it's something for which we can get support. If somebody goes out and uses Google Teams or uses Zoom and they run into trouble, and it's a non-commercial version of Zoom, it's not EKU's, we don't have what means to really support them. So there's content market tools, which I've never used. It's integration stuff. If you had a program that could advantage groups, and you could use it with third-party tools, and wikis and tasks. So those are some interesting options. I invite you to peruse those and ask more questions about them as you discover them. So all of these items, blogs, discussion boards, the ability to email, and file exchange. You can upload a file just for that group. So say you had a list of resources you wanted to give to one group versus another, you could do that as well. So let's investigate the types of groups. There are two main features. Either you're going to do a one-off group or you're going to create multiple groups at a time. And you're either going to have, you're going to manually enroll students yourself, you're going to have them self-select, or if you're doing it as part of a group set, you will randomly assign students either based on the number of groups you want or the number of students you want in every group. Now, this is where things kind of get complicated, so I hope to break it down right now. So let's say I have 100 students in here, and I can know that I don't have to go back to users and groups over here on the left side of my course management menu. I can actually go into all users. Look at the very upper right corner of groups here. So I'm in groups. If I click all users, I'm going to see 4 pages of users. So we'll pretend that these are all real students. And so I can say what I want to have happen to these students. I can make multiple groups. I can make multiple group sets based on different criteria, and it could get complicated pretty quickly. So I'm just going to create a group. So Blackboard calls it single group or group set. And so I'm going to, if I create a single self-enroll group, that means I'm just creating one group. And when I do that, I can explain what this group is about. So I'll give it the name blah. This is for the blah group. I'm typing sort of at an angle. I can select all the tools that I want that group to see. Now, if you change your mind later or you make a mistake on this, not a big deal. You can always go back and re-enable them. But it's a good idea to know what you want so you don't have to fool with it later on. So if I don't want the ability to allow personalization, students can sometimes make some cosmetic changes to the way the background of things look. You disable that. We don't mess with content market tools, and I don't want them having access to journals. We're good. So I could go ahead and add. Did I select? Oh, I created a self-enrollment group here. Sorry. When I do that, I'll just show what that looks like first. So I could call this blah sign up. And Marcia Pierce gave a really great PD2 media project presentation where she utilized group self-selection. And I'll refer you back to that. I don't have that queued up, but she was talking about terraforming, and she was giving some information on the different types of land formations. And students could assign themselves to be on a particular astronaut team that was going to land on the surface of a planet that had this particular terraformation. And they would select which group they wanted to be in based on their interests. And then they would get assignments and treatment that pertain to that particular self-selection in a group. So when we set this up, I'll just hit submit. And so this self-select group is created. There's nothing that really indicates that is self-enroll, except over here in this column, you'll see self-enroll. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this enter student preview button right here. Upper right corner of the screen, that looks like a little hurricane or a dot with two sort of circular arrows surrounding it. I'm going to click that so I can be a pretend student for just a second. So I'm in the course now, and it looks just like I'm a student. I'm going to go to groups, and I have a group I could sign up for. And if I sign up for the group, I'm signed up now. There. I'm going to exit preview and tell it I want it to retain that information, and it should. I don't know if it'll let me or not. So then if I've signed up, now I'm back as an instructor, and it didn't let me. But normally, if it's a real student, you will see enrolled members, and you can actually go into that group and see who signed up for that group. So it's pretty easy.
I think it'll let you do it if you use your your student login information.
For sure. If you use your pretend student user, it would definitely stick. This should stick too. I'm not sure. It should have given me an option. If I go back in, I go to groups and I sign up. And when I exit, I'm going to say settings. Okay, let me do this. Keep preview user and all data. That's what I was looking for earlier. Now I hit exit preview. Hopefully it will let me see the student. No, it doesn't. Okay. If this were a student, you would see them.
Hey, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
This is Erin. Are you able to limit the number of people that can self-enroll in a group? Did I miss? Sorry.
I don't believe you can. I don't think that you can.
Okay. You know how they tend to cluster together?
You can. Sorry.
My friends did that.
Maximum number.
Oh, okay.
Maximum number of members.
Gotcha. Okay. That's perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's pretty useful. And let me show you what you can do with adaptive release rules once you have some groups. So I'm just going to go into weekly lessons and assignments. And I don't know that I'll be able to show you the result of this because I can't get this preview user to work, but I have Team Maroon and Team Gray here. If I want Team Maroon to be only accessible to those with the blah group membership, then I just go down, I hit this context menu and I go to adaptive release. And then which group, so membership is one of the criteria for release of this Team Maroon folder. All I do is just click blah here, and then I hit the right arrow to bring it over into selected items. That's the only criteria I'm using in terms of enrolling somebody into this group or into this to be able to access the folder. Notice it says adaptive release. If I go back as a preview student user, I can show this. Go back to weekly lessons and assignments. Week 1, there's no Maroon folder now. So you are opening membership. You're opening access to that folder based on group membership. And let me tell you one way I've used this some with computer science. We have 500 and 700 level students within the same section. So I have made certain content available and certain exams available based on this group membership. And so once you do that, and you can use adaptive release for all sorts of things like high score to open up content additionally. A low score would open up other content. Yeah, I'm going to do a session on it in 2022 because I think it's a vastly underutilized feature. It's one you can get into the weeds with pretty quick and confuse yourself a little bit, but there are people standing by that can help. So in any event,
Chris, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
I'm not clear on the use or the advantages of a single group versus a group set. So I'm thinking that, so did you use a group set to create that, or was it just a single group?
I use the single self-select. There's not a lot of advantage to me in my mind, except that if for some reason you made a group and you thought, oh, this is the only group I'm ever going to create in this course, and you felt really sure about that, but then something happened, you're like, oh, well, maybe I need a second group, and I don't want to go through all the different features and selections as I create a group set for various purposes. Then it may be to your advantage to create one group. Does anybody else have any other experience with that?
No, but I have a question, Chris.
Sure.
So that I can make sure I'm understanding the concepts here. When you make our groups in like nursing 880,
yes,
I'm assuming you're using the random group set to do
yes.
that. Okay, thank you.
In most cases. Now, what Aileen will ask me to do is to do manual. So create 10 groups, but then you're gonna pick who goes in. Sorry, we're having a nursing chat here, and I'm going to show you all.
Okay. Okay. So if you do the random, you can also go back and modify it and manually add or change if you want.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Gotcha. Thanks.
You're welcome. So let's get into that a little bit. So I'm not done talking about the other types of groups. So going to groups again. So we've handled the, a one-off group, as it were. And then this thing's wanting to dance around on me. I don't know why. And then, so we can also create multiple at the same time, self-enroll groups, and they become part of a group set. And so when that happens, I could go up to group sets and I could see how many sets of groups have you created. And there's one called EKU that doesn't have anything in it, so I'm just going to delete that. You can manage certain aspects of groups if they are part of the same group set. I'll talk about that a little bit later. If I go to all groups, I'm going to go ahead and create a random enroll group. This is probably the most frequently used type of group set, where I have 100 students. I want 10 students per group. I don't care what groups that they fall in. I just want there to be these groups, and we're going to do that. And this is the feature that you use. So I'm going to go to create, be over in the group set subsection of create, and click random enroll. I'm going to give this name random. I could give a description. I'm going to give them access to all the tools. I don't care right now. I'm going to say that I want 10 students per group. Notice though, I could say, and this happens a lot in nursing. Realize in nursing, we have very large sections. I think our cohort now is in PMHNP is what, 140? So we're talking, this is real life stuff that happens in certain departments. Somebody may say, Chris, I don't care about the number of students, but I want 7 groups, because I've got seven facilitators. And if somebody's got an odd one, we'll work that out. And I don't care who they are, but just give me 7 groups. It's easy. All I do is I say, I want 7 groups. What do I do with the remaining members? Distribute them among the groups, or I could put them in their own group. So if I had 6 extra, so say we had, 86 or whatever. I don't know. Don't ask me to do math right now. But if we had a remainder of 6, I could say, well, just give each extra group another member, so that now we have, 6 with 8 and 1 with 7. Manually add the remaining members to groups, which I don't recommend. That is tedious. So we've done it. They're there. Notice that I gave the group set the name random. You see that? Notice that Blackboard appended a number to the right of the group name. And from there, what I do before I do anything else, like go to Smart Views, I would assign a facilitator to random 1, then random 2, random 3, random 4, random 5. Once I do that, then I go to all users, and I'm showing this prematurely, but I think it's useful. I go to all users. This shows me every student in the course, all 100 of them. Now notice there are 5 pages, and I can go through and check the work if I want to. This is really tedious, but if Maureen sends me an email and says, hey, Chris, Fred Gammon, he was going to be in Jones's group, who's group 6, but we really need to put him in group 1. So I'm going to find Fred. Here's Fred right here. I'm going to hit the X beside random 6. Sure you want to remove him from the group? Yeah. And then I can, in the same swoop, add him to random 1. And notice you also have the group sets structured there. So you can see all the groups under the group set random. You also see the standalone groups. So I could have one user belonging to, I don't know what the limit is, but several groups. I'm going to put him on random 1, hit submit, and he's there. Now I'm going to move on. Oh, well, let me show you one more thing. Then I'm going to show you, this is kind of tedious. Let me show you a different way to manage these that you might like a little better. But first, I'm going to go back to all groups, and I'm going to create a group set of manual enroll. Now, this is what I do. Nursing is a good example for this because sometimes they want to arrange their students. They have students all over the country. They want to arrange them by geographic region. Why, Maureen?
So that when we have group discussions, all the students are on the same time. And also, if they're in the same area, we encourage collaboration. That's a easy, they can be in a group where they can know everybody in that group is probably close in their area.
There's some uniqueness there because they do a lot of practical, a huge part of their programs are preceptorships. So, time zone makes a big difference to them for a lot of reasons. But anyway, they'll ask me, Chris, we've got our students in the course where they're mostly in the course anyway. And we need those groups created. And I'll just say, I'll call this manual. Going to give them all the tools. How many groups am I making? See, it didn't ask me anything about students in a group because I've got to do that manually. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to say 5 groups. I'm going to hit submit. Now I get the roster. You'll see this interface that says group 1, who do you want in manual 1? Who do you want in manual 2, manual 3, manual 4? And if I get out of this window, what I have done is I've made groups, but no students in the groups. And that's not a tragedy, and especially not in the sandbox because we can blow it away and make groups again. What's tough is that when I'm doing this like a little quilting bee, and then I have like an internet interruption or something like that, then it can get tedious where I've got them halfway done. But all I do is notice that there's a really great checkbox up here that says hide members already in another group in this set, which means if I put you in group 1, I'm not going to see you again when it's time to select for group 2, which is really, it's a great feature because I'd be lost without it. So I'm going to go ahead, and then if I change my mind, I can randomize enrollments too. But I'm just going to add users, and then it's going to bring up, I'm bringing over the pop-up window, all the students in this course. Now, the pain of this thing is if they want non-alphabetized students. So I've got to add somebody from the A's first and then somebody from F. Otherwise, I could just click add these people. I could go to the end and add, there's Daniel preview user. I don't know why it didn't get added to the self-select group, but I hit submit. It's got them in there. And what I do is I take their Word document that they send me, and hopefully I've clicked them in the right order. And then I just check them off. I like operating like this, even though it's more tedious, even though it's slower, because I'm looking at what is going to happen. And I can go through and do all 5 groups that way. Then I can go back to all users and check my work. So I'm going to hit cancel on that. I'm not actually going to go through with that. But I will admit, so here I've got manual and random. See that? What if I want to blow away all the manuals, but I don't want to check a box, check a box? I can go to group sets up here, far upper right corner of the screen. There's manual. Number of groups, 5. I'm just going to delete the group set. And that gets rid of all the groups in the group set. Now you do that and then you say, oh, that was a mistake. Sorry. And it gives you fair warning, I guess. But I've still cussed a few times, so I'm sure you will too. So, and it takes a minute though. That's the other weird thing. And we used to have a problem where it wouldn't delete like it needs to. So yeah, there we go.
So Chris, can I ask a question real quick?
Absolutely.
So if you set up for, say you have facilitators within a large group, you set up your groups manually in order to get like maybe by major a certain group so that they can key into a certain kind of feature within the things you're talking about or key into specific assignments in a certain way. If I do that and then I want, say, different groups, and so that we're mixing majors for a particular assignment, I can go in and then create another group of manuals for that specific assignment too?
You can have multiple groups, and students can be members of multiple groups, if that makes sense. You can also switch people around in groups. However, if you have assignments, and somebody here that knows Blackboard, better than me may chime in and talk about dangers or why you wouldn't want to do this or that. If you're doing like grading, like say you have discussion boards in groups and you have grading turned on for those discussions, and you mix people around in, like you have the same group set and you change membership of the already established groups, not adding new groups, that can cause problems in the grade center. So you may want to talk about your potential use case with me or your instructional designer and figure out, what the best approach might be. Does that help? Okay. Maybe it didn't. If it didn't, just let me know.
No, it did. Thank you.
Okay, good, sure. So, Chris, this is too dang tedious, and I'm more visual, but the visuals I'm seeing I don't like. Okay, we can use Excel to manage all this. I never told you nurses about this stuff because it's not your job. It really is for me to do. I like looking at Excel, but I'll show you doing the Excel trick I'm going to show you right now is going to have some benefit. So I'm going to click, it's going to give you a feature that you might like. So I'm going to click export here, right? I'm not exporting anything but a list, okay? I'm going to export. If you have many groups, or group sets, I should say, it gets a little more tedious, but what we're going to do is get a list of all our groups and group membership right now. So I'm going to click groups and group members. I'm going to include the header row. I'm going to hit submit. It is going to send me an email. So I need to open up Outlook and pray that this doesn't take more than like a minute. Sometimes it can take a few minutes. Here in Outlook, is the joke about waiting for Godot that Godot never comes? I forget how that ends. Let me hit send and receive. I used to like theater once upon a time. All right. We need Blackboard to queue and send that email because that's going to give us the ability to download a zip file. The zip file will contain a group list and a group membership list. It's going to give it to us in CSV format, which is comma separated values, which is openable by Excel, as many of you know. It always waits too long. I think it only queues it like once every minute or two. There we go. All right. So you'll see now in my other, remember now in Outlook, regular Outlook, we have like advanced filtration of email. And so all the EKU, email from a person is usually in focused, and new emails and other. It gives you this little link here. Click here. And then in the web browser window somewhere, it's opening up in Opera for me for some weird reason. So here's my Opera browser, and I'm going to, all right, hold on. I'm going to right click my link. I'm going to copy my hyperlink. I'm going to get back into Blackboard where I'm already authenticated. See, I have to go through this garbage too, you guys. It's not like he's just smooth as silk every day. So I'm already authenticated in the Blackboard system. Pasting that link, it's going to want to download this zip. Why is it a zip? I don't know, but it's several different files. So I'm going to say, okay. It's going to download it. Upper right corner of Firefox is my download icon. For most people, it will default to your username /downloads. I'm going to open up the file location. Come on now. This is a Zoom thing, folks. Okay. There's the zip. You know it is a good zip because it's going to give you your course name. It's your course ID. 5 groups, practice, clone, or ridge. It would be something like NSC 884 and the CRN. Okay. So when you double click the zip file, you're going to get a couple of different spreadsheets, and you are looking for the one called group members. If this is too complicated, forget it. You can manage this graphically within the system. But what I do for nursing is I turn this into a roster. But if I want to re-upload this, so what you see over here is group code, username, student ID, which that doesn't exist because these are fake students, first name, last name. Does that make sense? And all you have to do, and this goes, the GC is a space. So if I want, let's say I want half of group 2 and some of group 3 to be in group 1, well, all I have to do is just make that change. So I'm going to make all these group 2 people in group 1. See that? I'm going to take some of group 3 and put them in group 1. See that? I'm going to file, save this under documents as just another CSV. So it's in my documents folder now. Save. We're done. I'm closing. I'm going to minimize this. Go back into Blackboard. It's the wrong course. Let me find the other one. Okay, and I'm going to import. So I'm back in groups, back in my course. I'm just going to import that CSV file. It's going to remove random 2 and 3 users and put them in random 1. So import. What am I doing? I'm importing group members. I don't want to make other, you can actually do all this from scratch if you know the users. You could make your own CSV, but that's tedious. So I'm going to browse for that file. I'm going to go under documents. It's under my users. This is a me problem, you all. This is something that, well, what did I do with it? Oh, I put it in on OneDrive. Browse.
This is really helpful in general because I will sit down and write down all the names of everybody in the groups that it randomly assigned for me.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you. Let me show you what you can do with this list here in just 1 second. So I'm going to go back into Blackboard and go to desktop. There's my CSV file that I've changed. And I'm going to hit submit. It's going to take a minute. Import. There. So it's going to take a second. Notice it hasn't changed anything just yet. When I hit refresh, I expect that random 1 to go up quite a bit. There we go. See, 31. And I get an email saying it did that. Now, do you ever want to dwell in that? I don't know. That may be too complicated for you. But one nice thing is if I open up Excel again, Here's my CSV. I'm going to save this now as a regular Excel spreadsheet. Excel workbook, save. And I do this for nursing all the time. I'm going to click one cell in this list here and go to Insert Table. Say the table has headers. Rename this group code just group. And I could send that off as a roster list for faculty. I can even export it to PDF so that they don't have to go into Blackboard, because we have faculty that need to just refer to a list real quick because they may be having some issue, or they may need to know what region of the country they're speaking to somebody from. And this gives them an Excel spreadsheet they can work from. And I could even replace the GC with a space. And so they're not asking me, what's GC mean? Well, that's something hardly anybody does in Blackboard, but it's just getting that list, independent of the course, can be useful too. Just watch what you do with it, because, we are under FERPA and you probably shouldn't publicly post it or anything like that, even though I think it's roster information. But does that make sense? Is that potentially useful anyway? Well, that was this problem.
I think it's very helpful. Thank you.
And if you're an Excel person, you can dwell in that and manage your groups using, the CSV download. And we just talked about that. So some finishing touches. We're getting close to kind of the end. Let me just show you all users again, re-explain that, and then let me show you how to make smart views for these groups. And then I already showed one aspect of group set management. Let me show one other thing you can do. So all users. I'm at page 5 of 5 for some reason. Remember that. Let me show all. So a lot of times this is finicky and it's tedious too, because if you remove people from groups, you're okay. It will keep you on the same screen. If you decide to add, so I can add multiple users to one group. So let's say I deleted all these folks from their current group assignment, and I want to add them to the same group. I can check them here on the left, click add multiple users to groups, and I can put them in whatever group I want. When I do that, though, it goes back and reverts back to not showing me all the students at once. That's what makes it tedious. That's why some people prefer this, very few, but they prefer the Excel CSV method. And I would recommend practicing with that Excel before you actually use it on a live course. But as long as you're not, mid-semester, you're fine. If you're mid-semester, just change them like this. But see, notice it assigned all those to group 7, but then it went back to showing me just page 1 of 5. Do you see that? So if you go on down the list, like you're page 3, and we're not in alphabetical order. Oh, Rachel Ojibwe, I've got to pull her out of group 1, and I want to assign her. I don't know if it does it with this, but I want to assign her to group 5. I think it will go back. No, it doesn't. But if I add a bunch of people to a group all at once, no, it didn't that time either. That's good. Used to be it would take you back to sort of the beginning. All right. So smart views. Does anybody use smart views at all? Does anybody know what it is? It's a dynamic way to filter.
Because you guys have already set them up for me, but I don't know how to mess with them.
Okay, that's good. That's good input. It's dynamic filters for your grade center. So you can use it not only to create a way to look at just the students in a particular group, which is how I'm going to show it. You can also group and filter students by who submitted a certain assignment. There are lots of different criteria you can use to look at the grade center. If you have 15 to 30 students, this is not a big deal. But if you have, a fairly large section, you may not want to look at all 100 students at the same time. So let me show you how you set that up. First thing we're going to do is go back to all groups. And I'm going to check the boxes for groups for which I want a smart view. I'm going to mouse over bulk actions. Now it's kind of dangerous because delete group is here. So we want to steer well away. Why we do that, I'm not sure, but somebody has been burned. I know, because I would be that person. I only deleted somebody's exam. I deleted one of Brooke Bentley's exams about 4 years ago. That's the worst thing I've ever done in Blackboard. Hi, my name's Chris Daniel. So we're going to create Smart View for group. It's going to do that with no warning, except it tells us that it created it for 7 groups. And so what that has done is if we make those Smart Views a favorite, when we click on Grade Center, we will see them listed under Full Grade Center. Right now they exist, but we do not have them pinned under Grade Center. So let's do that. I'm going to go Full Grade Center. Going to go to Manage, Smart Views. Going to click Smart Views. Going to check all these groups that I want to pin. Now, you don't have to pin them. You could just have them hanging out. I guess that's okay, but most people want to see them. So I'm going to mouse over favorites, add to favorites. Now, if you screw this up, you don't touch the groups. So if we remove them from favorites, no big deal. We can recreate them. So I'm going to add to favorites. Now you'll see them just underneath Full Grade Center. And so if I click random one, I'm going to get 30 some students because that's how many students I had in the group. And so for your facilitators, or if you're dividing the work, among different people on an instructional team there, it's just really handy way to make a group, assign it to them if you don't do anything else, and then make a smart view so they can just see their students. But you can also filter based on other criteria too. It's pretty, I should probably do a training or get Jonathan Secor to do one on smart views as well, because it's pretty robust. There are a lot of ways you can filter your grade center. Like you can just say, I just want to see exams. Or if you create a column that is a, I don't know what kind of assignment, like a journal assignment. You could say you have 2 journal assignments. You just want to see those assignments. You can make a smart view that just shows journal assignments in the grade center, which can scare you if you just see 2 columns in your 15 column grade center, but you'll get used to it.
So I have a quick question about the smart views. Once you get all of your group smart views over there and you've assigned like a facilitator to, each of those groups, is there a way for them to only see on their end, only see their group, or do we have to set it up where they can still see all the groups and they have to click on theirs?
Yeah, restricting a facilitator to a particular set of students, I don't think is something we can do. However, if creating these smart views is a great way to encourage them, because most facilitators don't want to, how should I put it? Is that not that they don't want to do extra work, but it's that they are concerned about their students. So they want to make sure they're only focusing on those and not something else.
Right. So, well, and I like as a facilitator who's been on the other end of this too, I know that when you go into grade, you can go into your group and grade, but if you make the mistake of going into like an assignment to click on somebody, then you're going to end up grading accidentally people's in other groups because it'll just go to next in line. Yes. And so I was trying to avoid that for my facilitators if possible.
If they hit their smart view and start grading, it should only give them the next assignment to be graded in that group.
Okay.
It doesn't always do that though, because I mess up all the time and my facilitators say, but you graded my work. I'm like, sorry, I just kept going. They kept sending them to me.
I'll investigate why that could be messing up. That's not how it's supposed to work.
It works sometimes, but then it'll mess up.
I'll make a note of that. Was this too much?
I think that mess up Aaron's talking about too, because I think I ran into this too. If you get done with a particular assignment for your group it will automatically start bumping you to the other ones that are ungraded. So I think it's if you go by assignment and then link into your group instead of go to your group and then like see the full group, like your full panel of group and go from there. If you go straight into the assignment to try to grade just your group and you're like, it'll say all the ungraded or whatever, and then you click in but by my group. Once you get done with your group, I think it auto sends you into the other groups that haven't been graded. So I'm pretty sure that's where you run into that.
Got it.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Was this too much, too fast, or was it not enough? Please, you can let me know now, or you can also fill out the evaluation that I'll send. Sometimes with these tech sessions, we're trying to find the sweet spot, and that can be a challenge. Any other questions?
I definitely learned some helpful tips, Chris. And I would like to know more about the Smart View thing. So if you all do another session, I would be interested in that.
Glad to do it. Yeah, we'll put that on the agenda for 2022.
So Chris, the Smart View is not something that is for students, it's for faculty and facilitators, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a function of the grade center. Anything else about groups? Anything else? You know, I reserve the right to not know anything, but I'm glad to try to answer other questions. Don't you like that caveat?
I tell you, I have been doing groups the manual way, which is so tedious for so long. I wish I had known this a long time ago. Could have saved me a lot of hours.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and me too. Like I used to treat, when I first got sort of indoctrinated to the eCampus way of doing things, and I didn't realize just how many students could be in a fully online class. I mean, I knew that intellectually, but you know, it was like a quilting bee almost, or whatever. Like I'd sit in a room, I'd get music on, and I'd just start clicking, and then I tried it with the spreadsheet, and that was sometimes better. So I'm glad some found it useful, and I'm just really excited that so many of you all would give up an hour to come and listen to some Blackboard tech stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And our tech session is way better than like 4 hours of trying to figure it out by pushing buttons wrong.
Well, and also you have a friend in me, as the corny song goes. Let me know if I can help do something, point you in the right direction. Those Blackboard directions that I'll send, they're actually really pretty good. And they've made great strides in the last few years to try to update and renovate. Now, keep in mind with those directions, Blackboard Ultra is what, you know, that's our new product that they're trying to roll out slowly. You be careful that you're not on the Ultra directions. And there should be a link underneath everything that says, go to original view. And I think I'm linking to original view in those directions, but just be sure you're not trying to do something in Ultra, because that's really confusing. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you all so much for your time and attention today. Please consider filling out the evaluation. We want to know how we can make things better for you. You know, this is our focus. We're all here for our students, but if we don't help ourselves with some of this stuff, it's much more difficult. And lean on us as much as you feel like, as much as you can, to let us help you make things easier, make things better for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much today.
Thanks. Thank you.
I'll hang out a few minutes if anybody wants to chat, and I'll stop the recording.